to what was said during the campaign period and said that President William Ruto lied to you. How so?
No, he didn't just lie to me. He lied to all Kenyans. You know, this country is where we are because unknowingly we elected a very deceptive leader, a guy who lies without blinking. On very simple things. Very simple. Even we don't lie. Like you can bring a machine to make 1 million chapatis a day. We'll bring cars without an engine. You know, we'll give diapers to everybody. You know, we are all victims of deception. And sometimes I feel like blaming myself for being duped, despite thinking that I'm a smart guy. Look at the number of Kenyans who are duped: bishops, reverends, pastors, businessmen, great men and women of this country. I don't blame myself. I think the guy was just a super conman.
And to go against former President Uhuru Kenyatta during the campaign period, we've had
my brother Dennis, when we were campaigning, the rules, campaigning is not a church affair, it's not a wedding, it's rough, and it's nothing personal really. That's not about leadership. And people might say, well, you are good about them. You're looking for votes, you come up with all sorts of issues against your opponents. And it's nothing personal. Once the elections are over, you move on. Even Uhuru Kenyatta himself thinks that he said that leaders are going to do that. Then they came and patched up and they worked together. Look at William Ruto. He called Raila all sorts of names, Muganga, Nini, Kitendawili. Today they are calling each other brothers. When people are campaigning and they use words here and there against each other, it's part of the game. And there is nothing really personal.
Yeah. You say President William Ruto lied to you during the campaign period, and many Kenyans ask the question, are you not your own man to stand on what you believe in, to give direction as Rigathi Gachagua and not Gachagua who can be influenced by another politician?
I was not duped alone. All of us were duped. He was voted in by 7.2 million votes. I was just one of them. What about the other 7.1999? They were all duped. So it cannot just be Rigathi Gachagua who was duped alone. It was very many of us. And that is why many of us, plus others, are looking for an opportunity to have a remedy to that situation, that we were duped, we were conned, and we need to correct that situation, again through the vote. Now we are wiser, we know better. They say, you can fool some people sometime, but you can't fool other people all the time. That con game by William Ruto is over. Kenyans are wise. They know, they see, they hear, and they all know that they were conned. And why probably I take a very active role in correcting this mess we are in is because I played an even greater role in putting the country in this mess we are in, because I really campaigned for the guy. I was all over convincing people, talking to them, using proverbs, using slogans, using all kinds of figurative language, describing him in very amiable terms, giving a lot of hope to the people of Kenya. And I persuaded very many, and I feel I have a greater responsibility to remedy the damage that I caused this country and to right what is wrong. And just the way I persuaded people, this was the right guy. Since now I know differently, and many Kenyans know differently, I have a big, greater responsibility to be very active and be very aggressive, even much more than I was at time, to correct the situation and send a guy home and come up with better leadership.
As we talk about sending the guy home, President William Ruto, through the phrases that you've coined, one term, and with that then comes the united opposition that is pushing towards this agenda. But one would ask the question, just how united is the opposition? When the united opposition was starting, we saw the likes of Jubilee being part of the bandwagon. Today we're seeing breaks and cracks. Just how united is the united opposition?
There are no cracks in the opposition. There may be a little differences among leaders in the way they look at things. But those leaders are not the opposition. The opposition to William Ruto are the people of Kenya. And they are united to a man. To a man. The one-term movement is real across the country, from the coast region, northern Kenya, Rift Valley, central Kenya, upper and lower eastern, Nyanza, western, here in Nairobi. The one-term movement is unstoppable, and the people of Kenya are united in purpose. We, the leaders, are just a reflection of the people, but we are not the people. We are not the opposition. The opposition are the people of Kenya, and what we are doing as leaders is just providing leadership, because when people want to go somewhere, they need somebody to lead the way. But the people know where they want to go, they know what they want to do, and they are united in purpose. And if any leader moves from the one-term movement, that leader becomes obsolete instead of his or her political career. I want to assure you, and I don't think any leader can make that mistake, because what you do when you are a practical politician like myself, I listen to the people. Even the years preceding to 2022, I listened to the people. I told President, it was my great birthday. I said, Mr. President, listen, this rider project they don't want. Please don't force them. They'll disappoint you and they'll embarrass you. And he shrugged it off. He didn't think it is true. He still believed he had instruments on state and he could persuade people to do things differently. I went back a second and a third time, and then I gave up, and then we differed. But I told him the truth, what people are saying. My brother, I am one Kenyan leader who never deviates from the other people. I always align with the people, and that is why I've never lost an Indra has won. Because I take my time to listen to the people. I've listened to the people, and they have made a decision. I've heard William Ruto complaining that we are only talking about one term. Indeed, it's not our wish to talk about one term throughout. It's the people who are forcing us. They don't want to listen to anything else. The other day I was in Nyandarua. It's called Miharati. People have gone to meet before, and before that they asked me to talk about potatoes, the storage facilities, roads, schools. To talk about schools, about potatoes. They are not interested. They say, tell us about one term. So I want to tell William Ruto, why we are unable to talk about anything else in public meetings is because the people don't want to discuss anything else. They want to discuss one term. They are impatient. They want this guy to go like yesterday. It's the cause of all their problems. People are struggling. Shy. The education system has at home been repaired. There's no money in circulation. Bribery is taking place in the State House when they can see they feel occupied, be free about one term. So when I came up with this one term slogan, many people ask me, where did you come with it? Just summarizing what the people are saying. I listen to the people. God has gifted me with figurative language as a student in literature. I listen to what people of Kenya are saying, and I needed to capture what the people of Kenya are saying what they want in one word. Because in the figurative language, people don't want too many words in matters communication. People want to describe a difficult situation or a solution in one single word. So I thought about it, and listening to the people of Kenya across the country, the mood in the country, what the people want. Then I came up with the slogan of one term. It has spread like bushfire. It is discussed everywhere, in bars, in churches, in matatu bar, in salons, in barbershop. And I just listened to the people and captured their feelings, their aspirations, what they want in one word. You talk about one term, but at the time when Kenyans went to the streets to complain about the years the government was is putting on them, and one word was Kufa Dereva, Kufa Makanga. And when you talk about one term, Kenyans have insisted that it is the entire crew of politicians to go home and reset the status of the country. How would you respond to Kenyans who say, even you, Rigathi Gachagua, we do not want you to lead us? Well, I don't know which Kenyans are, because when I go to meetings, thousands attend without any mobilization. I don't pay people to attend my meetings like William Ruto does. Today he was in church in Rome. The people who went to church were paid. He has trips there. He cannot talk to people without paying them. I don't pay people. I address organic meetings across the country. When I turn up wherever I know they come in thousands. So I don't know which are these Kenyans that have a problem with Rigathi Gachagua. I will think he is part of the problem. He calls the problem. But along the way, I graduated into part of the solution. And one of the solutions that Kenyans want, that I have taken charge of, is one term. And Kenyans are happy with me, because you remember when I went to the United States for 6 weeks, and Kenyans were asking for me to come back, because the one-term momentum was slowing down. And that is what Kenyans want. So what I did is, I was a part of the problem. When I realized there's a problem, I differed with William Ruto. And along the way, I graduated into a solution. It's going well with the people of Kenya. And the people of Kenya, wherever I go, I get once a welcome. I don't pay anybody. My meetings spend nothing other than fuel and batteries from my microphone. I don't spend money. I'm supposed to my opponent William Ruto, because that is my opponent. For him to address in a meeting, like in the Mount Kenya region, he spends a minimum of 10 million in a meeting. His MPs, they spend 2-3 million. His deputy spends about 5 million. You don't do anybody. All these guys you see and attend, they are paid. And if you don't pay them, they'll start saying one time. And even what is interesting is, because I also communicated to my people, when I realized that a lot of money is being used to bribe them, I also told them, I give them the charges to charge these guys to come and cheat them. And what has happened now is that William Ruto and his group place Kenyans to listen to them. The minute they take off, they start shouting one time, because we agreed that this money is stolen. In any case, maybe you don't take it from William Ruto, you take it elsewhere. So why not? Just take it, but don't sell your conscience, and stick with what you believe in. So I don't agree with you that Kenyans say they want to get rid of everybody. If they did, the meetings I do, there will be nobody, or they will be demanding I pay them.
But Rigathi Gachagua, you've taken responsibility of being part of the problem. And what are some of the problems we're talking about? We talk about SHA. Let's talk about affordable housing. Let's talk about taxes. During the campaign period, you and President William Ruto went across the country saying the problem with the high price of fuel in the country was because of the taxes. But what did we see once you formed the government? The taxes increased from 8% to 16%, 100%. Increment. As Kenyans sit here today and listen to you speak, they say you are part of the pain we feel today. We feel not comfortable to have you on board.
I'll qualify that. I am not part of the problem of taxation, theft of public resources, wanton corruption. I'm not part of that. The problem I admit I am part of was bringing William Ruto to office. That I accept. And I've apologized 100 times to the people of Kenya. That I created the mess we are in by assisting William Ruto to be elected president. I accept wholeheartedly to the people of Kenya that I created a problem in Kenya, and I take responsibility. But I've also told the people of Kenya, now that I admit I made a great mistake in creating the problem, the mistake called William Ruto, the greatest lie ever in the history of Kenya. For me to redeem my image, I must play an even greater role in correcting that problem by making sure William Ruto is one term. That I, the CC deputy, we had no role. William Ruto is a one-man show. He runs the government single-handedly. And you can see, like now, he's doing roadside declarations. Yesterday, he was in Vihiga, and somebody there, an MP, complained about fees for IDs. And then he made a declaration there that there will be no more fees without consulting the policy makers, without talking to anybody. That's a mess we are in a country. The other day, you saw teachers come to State House for bribes. And then he made an unilateral declaration that 20% of those houses will go to teachers without talking to the minister, without talking to the directors, without talking to the people who made this policy. That's the way this country is run. You know, that is the way this country is run. And therefore, I absolve myself from any blame, because when I realized that as they had no role, the ministers had, PSS had no role, I started having a fight with him within, until it reached a place we could not agree, and he made a decision to throw me out, which is okay, you know. But I realized, and after the first 1 year, that the Kenya government, led by William Ruto, had become a criminal enterprise. Theft of public resources, misappropriation of funds, decisions that are of commercial interest to him and his family. And I couldn't take it, because that is not what he had told me when we were forming government. That is not what he had told the people of Kenya. If you look at this decision to sell Kenya Pipeline, Kenya Pipeline is valued at 600 billion. It's being sold for 100 billion, you know? And the valuation has not included land in Mombasa that is worth about 40 billion. And this company is being bought by a Nigerian who is an in-law to President William Ruto. And that I know, because I was there. And I had refused when the matter was brought to the cabinet committee that I chaired. How do you sell strategic installations of the country? You know, oil, fuel, is something that is very sensitive. How do you put the country's oil reservoirs in private hands? What if there is sabotage and the country comes to a stop? But because he has a commercial interest himself, you know, today, Dennis, tea farmers are up in arms. I was in charge of tea reforms, and things were going on very well. A single decision by William Ruto to do business with the rebel movement in Sudan, the RSF of Hemeti, who is a business partner of William Ruto. The government of Sudan made a decision to ban the importation of Kenyan tea. As a result of that ban, we have not been able to sell our tea in good prices. What is the result? The prices of tea have gone down. Farmers across the country, including his home in Kericho and Bomet, where he comes from, his kinsmen, they are up in arms. And it's a simple personal decision that because he wants to deal with the gold with Sudan and give them arms in exchange to kill women and children, then we cannot sell our tea. And because we cannot sell our tea, our prices have gone down. Then the farmers are crying across the country. So these are the things that I saw along the way. And I said, no, I can't have this. I'm not a con man. How do we con the people of Kenya? We promised to have a bottom-up economic transformation agenda. We promised to put money into people's pockets. Then the little that they have, we remove it, you know? So I am saying that the Kenya government, run by William Ruto, is a criminal enterprise. State House is a crime scene. You have seen State House now has lost dignity. Bribery takes place, in broad daylight, and he doesn't care really. He really doesn't care. All money that was meant for capitation, schools are shutting down. That money has been diverted to State House to bribe people. Money meant for health has been diverted. Lecturers have not been paid. This money is what is being carried in sacks, in choppers across the country. I was unable to be part of that criminal enterprise. And Kenyans must forgive me for that, because that's not what we promised the people of Kenya. We had promised the people of Kenya that we are people's government, that we are going to serve in humility, we are going to make people's lives better, we are going to make people to improve their welfare, we are going to have ease of doing business. But where we are, my friend, the country is on its knees.
We talk about privatization of state resources. You've mentioned KPC to be specific. You say that the valuation was not considered, that this is business because the person who's to buy it is President William Ruto's son-in-law.
Yeah.
What evidence do you have to show? Because
he looked for me.
Absence of evidence showing that you have these as a fact remains being hearsay. As well, you say you are inside as deputy and you knew about this. Why speak now?
I have been speaking, and anything I've told Kenyans have come to pass. Anything I've said. I said about Bomas of Kenya, it has come to pass. I said about RSF, it has come to pass. I said President William Ruto has appointed drug barons into his cabinet. I have been vindicated the day before yesterday. Two ministers asked Mr. President, where does that leave me? How do I continue with this war on drug abuse when I'll be sitting in the same cabinet with the drug barons? That expose that has happened at the airport, if William Ruto has any decorum remaining, he must sack that minister. The evidence is there. The people who are smuggling drugs through JKI, the photographs with his minister is there. And you can see clearly that the minister is actually the one who is facilitating the peddling of the smuggling of drugs through the airport, because the drugs that have been caught, the documentation was saying that they are minerals that are going for testing. So the ministry is being used for drug trafficking because the minister has been a drug baron, and it is in public domain. Everybody knows. There is nobody in this country who doesn't know. But William Ruto has no qualm. Because of his own business interest with that minister and the deals they are doing together, he has no qualms about appointing a fellow involved in drugs to the cabinet when our children are in trouble. How does William Ruto face parents today? And he was telling parents that they are responsible for bad upbringing. When he has appointed ministers who are peddling drugs, they are sitting in his cabinet. When now there is evidence that that minister and his associates are involved in drug trafficking, how does he face parents and accuse them of bad upbringing when his minister, who is his business partner, is involved in drug peddling, cocaine, hard drugs in this country? These are some of the things, Dennis, that got me very tired. And today, in fact, I feel very relieved I'm not part of that government. I don't know how I'll be able now. This week, I would have gone to cabinet after what happened at JKIA. I don't know how I would have gone to sit in that cabinet with that minister when I was in charge of fighting drugs and alcoholism on behalf of government, and then I have to sit with a minister who is facilitating drug trafficking in the country.
You've painted a lot of negativity and negative things that are happening with the current government, and in that there is now the united opposition that is coming forth and saying we want to form the next government. Let's speak about DCP as a party. And DCP is seen as it is a party that solely belongs to the Mount Kenya region. Rigathi Gachagua has been accused of being a tribalist. How would you shake that, knowing that Kenyans are saying you only speak about the mountain and nowhere else?
Nobody has accused me of tribalism other than William Ruto. The only tribal thing Rigathi Gachagua has done is to speak Kikuyu in meetings. When I was looking for votes for William Ruto, I used to speak Kikuyu and I was smiling, because I don't have to speak to the Kikuyu people in English because they are not Englishmen. They are Kikuyus. And the fact that I'm a national leader has not changed my identity. William Ruto practices tribalism. The other day we were in Ukambani. He sacked the CEO of Kentraco and replaced with his own tribesmen. If you look at the composition of the CEOs in the country, out of about 250, 92 are from his ethnic community. If you look at all the businesses that have been given in this country, he has given to his tribesmen. If you check, they have advertised for police recruitment, about 10,000 positions. Yet, in every sub-county, in every constituency, they are taking 5. 290 times 5 is less than 2,000. 8,000 positions he is taking and giving his tribesmen. He has been doing the same thing for the military. I was there, I saw it, for the teachers. That is a man who practices tribalism throughout. If you look at Nairobi, the composition of officer commanding police stations, out of 14 police stations in Nairobi, 9 are from his tribe. Despite the fact that his tribe, in terms of numbers, in terms of percentage, they're just down there. So you cannot tell me because William Ruto says I'm tribal. My party, DCP, is a national party. I have a very strong candidate in Magarini, in Kilifi. Kilifi is not in Kirinyaga, it's not in Nyandarua. That is in Coast Province. I have a candidate in Narok Township ward in Narok. That is not in Nyeri. I have a candidate in Puruko ward in Kajiado. That is not Muranga. I have a candidate in Malava in Kakamega. That is not Nyanyuki. My deputy party leader, Cleo Malala, is from Kakamega. Kakamega is not Nyeri. The chairman, national chairman, is from Kajiado. Deputy Secretary General is from Narok. Deputy Secretary General in charge of strategy, Owino Mabli, is from Kisumu. Ours is a national party. It's only that because William Ruto sees me there, he sees the Kikuyu whom he hates, despite the fact that they made him president. And when we made him president, we knew he was not one of our own. He has hated us because we have refused to give him our vote. Our vote we give willingly to people who respect us and people who are truthful and people who don't misuse us and people who don't abuse us when we tell him we will not give you our vote. He has been trying to mobilize the rest of the country against us, and therefore we are through with him. That does not make us tribal. In any case, we have many other friends that we are working with. We don't have to work with him, and it cannot be because we supported him. If we don't feel like supporting him and we can support somebody else, we become tribal. We can support anybody else. We can support Kalonzo Musyoka. We can support Fred Matiangi. We can support Eugene Wamalwa. We can support George Natebea. We can support Seki. We can support Mohamed Adi from Nyali. We have no contract with William Ruto that is binding, that because we voted for him in 2022, we must always vote for him. There is no such contract, and I want to tell him sorry. You feel bad that we have left you. You made the bed, you lie on it. We had loved you, we had respected you, we had given you our votes, we had trusted you. You betrayed us. You cheated us. You took advantage of our ignorance in terms we did not know you well. We chose you without knowing you well, and that was a mistake that we made, and it's a mistake we shall never repeat again. We will never vote for anybody that we don't know properly. We must do due diligence to know who you are, what you say about us when we are not there, and how you have been, what is your history. Those are mistakes that we made, and we are paying the price. And we have accepted that we made great mistakes, but we are saying we have learned from those mistakes. We will not repeat again. My friend, DCP is a national party. And let me tell you, it is a party that William Ruto fears. All these other parties that are in opposition, their meetings are never interrupted. It's only my meetings. He sends goons and police to beat me up, to beat up my members of parliament.
What evidence do you have to show that it is President William Ruto who sends goons to your meetings?
But these goons are escorted by police. I am an opponent of William Ruto. Why would police have anything against me? They take instructions from William Ruto. And DCP is his nightmare. And that is why in Banisa, we had a very strong candidate called Adan, and he was going to win that seat. Ruto called him and really gave him address down and intimidated him and threatened him until he had to abandon.
But the man you talk about came out and said that negotiated democracy that takes place in the northern part of the country and that his community advised
State House is not State House is not northern Kenya.
Belong to northeastern. His people from northeastern told him to leave the seat for the other person. Why
that is what he said in public.
That
is what he said in public. But what he told me in private, including the messages he sent me, I'll show them the message to you. He was thoroughly intimidated, thoroughly intimidated. William Ruto fears DCP because it's a party of the people. We listen to the ground. It's a serious party with very serious support across the country because we align ourselves with the aspirations of the Kenyan people. And you will see with these by-elections, DCP is not regional. Of course, it has very strong in the mountain because that's where it came from. But equally, it has support across the country. Yeah.
The return of former President Uhuru Kenyatta in the political scene, the recently held Jubilee NDC, seems as though it appears as though it is the next big party in the mountain. Does that shake DCP's presence in the mountain?
Well, there is nothing of worry to anybody. And I have seen a narrative people are trying to drive that there could be conflict between me and President Uhuru Kenyatta. Far from it. That is just diversion to try to slow down the one-term movement and bring sideshows of issues that are non-existent. From where I sit and as far as I know, and it's in public knowledge, President Uhuru Kenyatta, the fourth President of the Republic of Kenya, is retired. He's enjoying his retirement. And he cannot be president again. Rigathi wants to be president of Kenya. Hence, there can be no conflict whatsoever between Rigathi and President Uhuru Kenyatta. What will be the source of the conflict? One is a retired president, the other one wants to be president. So I don't know what people are talking about. How would he threaten my bid for president unless he is opposing me? And constitutionally, he has done his 2 terms. So he cannot be my opponent. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a non-issue. I don't even know where the matter has come from. I have not heard Uhuru Kenyatta saying I should not be president. I have not heard him asking people not to elect me as president. I don't know where these things are coming from. As far as I'm concerned, there's no issue, absolutely. We have 2 leaders here. One is the past, the other one is the present and the future. What conflict would there be?
Jubilee says it might be going alone, that it might be coming up with its own presidential candidate. And Jubilee, with its base and its stronghold as well being the mountain, it is seen as though it is bringing the challenge on DCP, and others, critics have said that this is meant to divide the mountain because we have 2 parties that come from the mountain. What would be your response to that?
Let me first and foremost, Dennis, if you allow me, at the risk of being accused of always talking about the mountain, educate you a little bit. The mountain is a very important vote for this country, in that whoever it has supported has become president. William Ruto became president courtesy of the mountain vote. The mountain vote gave him 47% of what made him president. Without it, he would not have been president. Okay? So it's a vote that is critical. It's a vote that made Uhuru Kenyatta president, it made Mwai Kibaki president, it made William Ruto president. When Ruto hounded me out of office, the people of the mountain sat me down and gave me certain directions. The people of the mountain, I don't know about the rest of Kenyans well. I cannot speak for them because I don't know. The mountain people take no direction from any leader. No leader can tell them what to do.
Not even you?
Not even me. They decide what they want, and then a clever leader aligns with them immediately. If you ask President Uhuru Kenyatta, he will tell you. He told them to vote for Raila Odinga, they told him no. We have already decided to vote for William Ruto. That is a mountain for you. So saying that if Uhuru comes, he can divide the mountain, I don't know, Gachagua, let me tell you, 3 things have been decided in that mountain. 3 things. Not Rigathi Gachagua, not Uhuru Kenyatta can change what has been decided. And if you decide to change, you lose the people immediately and they become antagonistic towards you. The mountain people have made 3 key decisions. 1, that they wake up early in the morning to a man to send William Ruto home for betraying them, misusing them, and mobilizing other Kenyans against them, destroying their businesses and making life miserable for them. That decision has been made. Today, if I made a stupid decision to support William Ruto, I'll go alone to William Ruto. The mountain would abandon me in the morning without any shame. I'll be on my own. If Uhuru Kenyatta made a mistake and said, let's support William Ruto, he will be abused from morning to evening and nobody will listen to him. That is 1. 2, the mountain have learned from the past that a divided mountain is useless politically, okay? And in 1992, Moi divided them to their disadvantage. Since then, they made a decision. They will never go to a vote divided. So a decision has been made in the mountain that nobody can divide that mountain. They'll vote one basket. If Rigathi Gachagua is candidate, he'll get all the votes. If he is not, and somebody else has been agreed on for united opposition, they'll give those votes to that person in total.